Greg. So spill on the new side of everything, because we're experienced.
We're old people. What's it like being with the new relationship?
What's that new spark like?
Yeah.
What's that new car smell?
Anyways, no, it's really good so far. I mean, we've gotten along in a lot of different ways. I mean, we're doing a long distance relationship right now too, so some things get a little confusing when you're in a long distance relationship. Just like communication breakdown when it comes through texting. Even a phone call sometimes is not really it's not the same thing as being in person and seeing like their facial expression and all that. You just hear it in their voice. You're like, are you mad at me? Like, no, I'm just doing something else that's causing this noise to happen. So, but other than that, it's been really good. And I mean, we're working through things as they come, pretty much. We're
I think that always happens for forever.
Well,
that's
forever.
It never stops.
And that's how Nalani and my relationship started too, because I was up at Central and she was back. You were back in Adrian when we started dating, which was just where we were in our lives, and we started this long distance because it's about 2.5 hours between the two, and we couldn't get to see each other because we were both going to school.
Both going to school. I had a job.
So during the weekday we couldn't see each other, and on the weekends, like occasionally we'd be able to see each other if I could come home or if she could come up. Like it was hard to see each other, but
week or so.
and we did our best. But you're absolutely right. It's hard when you're on a phone call sometimes to tell if the person's actually mad at you, or if it's just like I'm just in a bad mood and I had a long day, or I'm just distracted, or what it exactly is. But that's just something you kind of learn more and more.
But I think at the same time, because I did long distance for almost 2 years. You also have those conversations that you wouldn't have in person
Oh, yeah,
a lot more quickly than you do if you're, seeing that person all the time.
Well,
so
and I think
feel like
that's part of the reason that we did say I love you so quickly was because we were forced into having some deeper conversations.
You
like we couldn't just hang out and go have fun. Like,
what do you do if you're a new couple in a city where you have a lot of friends and you're both living? You go out with your friends and you go and do stuff together with a group of people, and like, oh, we're dating, and like occasionally you'll go out on a date, but if you go out on a date, it's only for like a little while, like here and there, and you just don't get as much intimacy, I feel like, as trying to communicate with somebody long distance. And like, not to say that like it's better to be long distance to start with, but it's a different level and a different growth of relationship.
The thing I also knew that really made Sarah and I go, this is going to last for a long period of time, was that, and I don't recommend this to literally anybody, because it's not good. Moving in a month into, or 3 months basically into a relationship.
And not talking about it.
Just basically saying like, hey, because I didn't get a degree at Western was because I didn't have money, and I had to work a job. My parents were transitioning to move to Florida, and I was basically kind of stuck and stranded here. I could have gone down to Florida, but I didn't really want to because I didn't feel like that's where my life was heading. And so I decided to stay up here. And by doing that, I had to make a lot of sacrifices and choices. One was basically getting a job that was close to full-time hours as much as I could. And two, pay off an extremely high debt that basically evicted me from a house because I wasn't really paying bills because I didn't have a lot of financial aid and I didn't all that stuff. It was a bad time. Not to mention I didn't really have a job too, that was also not a smart thing to do. Make sure you have a permanent job when you're moving into a place. Don't buy or lease an apartment if you're getting a job that isn't going to be confirmed. Because that's the thing. I had a job in transition. It just didn't get confirmed, and so it screwed me. And so I had to basically do all that stuff. So basically when I got evicted, I had to get kicked out and I had to go. And so I had nowhere to go really because my parents were, like I said, moving to Florida and all that. There really wasn't any place to go. So I moved in with Sarah. And we didn't really talk about that. It was just more Sarah offered her place and was like, why don't you live here? Because she had an extra room. And why don't you just do that? I'm like, all right, cool. I'll do that. That's fine. That was literally, yeah, and that was also the literally worst time of our relationship. The worst time of our relationship.
If it wouldn't have been for one of your friends, we would have broken up, for
really,
sure.
Yeah, one of my best friends helped our relationship grow. It kind of deviated a lot of the stress and a lot of the pain through it, but we worked it out. We eventually worked it out. Like, we got our own places when the next school year started. I wasn't in school. I decided to go full-time work. I went to live with Greg here for a long period of time. And Sarah moved to her place, and we just separated for probably 2 weeks. Like, we didn't really talk for 2 weeks. Like, we hung out because all of our friends are the same friends, so we hung out.
But at
and we of course were dating, but it was always like nighttime. All right, see ya, go away. Like,
went to our own places.
And we thought we were gonna break up then, and we didn't. And then everything just got easier at that point because yes, it was a hard experience and it was a painful experience.
But we learned a lot.
We learned a lot through doing it, and if relationships like that does work out, it creates awesome and beautiful relationships. I mean, there's a lot of people that go through crazier stuff than we do. There's a lot of people that go through less stuff than we do. It still works out, but you still have to, like, because of that transition, we hashed out a lot of things we knew about each other right away. So when it did come back to moving back in with each other, ground rules were pretty much established without even us talking about those ground rules because we knew what we liked and didn't like.
Yeah.
And so that's another thing too. I mean, not to bash on religion or anything like that, but relationships and couples who live together before they get married, I think, is super, super crucial. And you don't even have to have like sexual relation or anything like that to even make that work. But at least
to learn all of those idiosyncrasies and odd habits that you personally don't even realize you have until someone points it out and they're like, you're annoying and you need to stop.
Along with that, I mean, it's when you're together and if there's a fight, it's you can't go away.
Right.
You have
and
to.
And again, I completely understand the religious side of it, so I get it when people don't do that. And I never would say, like, go against your faith or go against your belief in that situation. I completely understand that. But for the other parts of that, like, if you really want to test your relationship out, buy a dog or live together, and you will really test your limits.
I think it's one of those things that, like, how do you know you want to spend your whole life with somebody unless you know everything about them? To me, and, like, moving in with somebody, you find out so much about them. Like, we don't live together, but we've never
officially lived together.
But over the summer times,
but
like,
we've basically lived
together. We've
like
had our own places to go, but we never actually went back there when we were mad at each other. We would hash it out and talk about it, and, like, we stayed the nights together just about every night.
And there would be times that, like, you would be at work and I would be at your place, or I would be at work
and
you would be it was as if we were living together. It's just we weren't living together, and we did spend every night together. And when we were not in work, we were there, and, like, we would cook dinner together, and all of those responsibilities that went along with it. And
truth be told, it was nice to have, like, two places to swing between. If you were like, I'm bored of this place, like, wouldn't that be nice in life? Like, oh, we got a vacation house. It's across town, but it's a vacation house. Like, but it was. I mean, we can't say we've lived together, so we know everything about each other. But we've seen those things and been like, what are you doing? What are you doing now?
Another thing that I think makes relationships a little bit more solid: travel with your partner.
Yes.
Plan, like, an actual, like, trip somewhere, and just the two of you.
The funny thing about that, though, is Sarah hates the last trip we took. When we flew down, or not flew, but we drove down to Florida. I just passed out the entire trip, like, literally 24 hours. This is the world's longest nap. Here we go.
Yeah, and I was with your family. That's the thing.
I know,
so I was like, okay, first trip with his family, and he is sleeping.
That's not just the two of you, though. That's what.
Well, yeah, because we've done a lot of flying trips in too, and most of those trips I can't sleep because most of the time with my horrible ears, I'm like popping ears every time I'm flying, and so she's just there going, "And I love you, get better," and I can't do anything about it.
And it doesn't have to necessarily, like, just be the two of you on the trip,
Yeah.
but it's the two of you planning it, like, planning aspects of it and going on it together, because that can cause issues.
The only trip we've really been on by ourselves is our honeymoon. Where it's just been us.
Yeah, it is. But even then, we had Dylan, like, escort us. Our friend.
Okay,
knows.
but that's a free universal
Yeah.
ticket. So
Yeah.
You're
I
not
was
gonna give
okay
that
with
up.
that. He was only with us for 2 out of the 10 days we were there.
Yeah.
Well, we've taken trips that like ended up. There were times it was just the two of us. We went down to Florida. We spent like a few days with Carissa and Colin and Ainsley.
Oh yeah, but after it
And
was
then Carissa
definitely
drove
us.
us over to my grandparents' condo, actually, on the west side of the state. And we hung out there, just the two of us.
Just the two of us.
Like, and man, those were some really good times. And yeah, we're on vacation, and yeah, we're staying at a place for free, and money's less of an issue. But
at the same time,
it was.
We also had to plan things, and we had to figure that stuff out ahead of time, and we had to be able to sit down and talk about that stuff, and you figure out how they plan and why they plan that way, and it.
Well,
like,
I think the biggest thing for me was that, and this is kind of jumping base, so figure you'd say what you were going to say.
The end.
The end. The end. Click done. Well, I think the biggest thing for me is like the way you vacation compared to the way I vacationed. When I was a kid, we were vacationing. My family would always go to a place we'd been before, and we knew what we were going to expect to go to a place and know that that was what it was going to be, and this is exactly how it's going to be, and that's going to be great.
So you never really planned when we've taken our trips. You've just kind of been like, we'll get there. And then me, on the other hand, my family, it was, because we traveled every summer, and I've been a lot of different places, but it was only for X amount of time. So we wanted to make sure that we fully took in that area of wherever we were.
Because you didn't return to as many places as often.
Right.
Unless it was like a fantastic time.
Well, I think Disney is honestly the only place that we've ever gone to more than once.
Sarah and I, we both really kind of take turns on planning. I really suck at planning on what the things we need for our trip. So Sarah has to remind me, 5 days equals 5 pairs of clothes.
A toothbrush. Deodorant.
Yeah, you need something to clean yourself with. So a lot of that stuff, like I'm really bad at that. But when it comes to like logistics of things we want to do, I'm kind of good. That's where I get good at, because I like especially. I mean, hell, I'm trying to I kind of helped arrange all of this podcast and stuff together. Like that's kind of where my forte is. So I really get into.
I think we both do, so that's not so hard. I tend to do it. I think I want to know more information quicker than you.
Yes.
But
yes. Like you want to know, like, hey, we're setting a plan in like 8 months. You're like already, all right, 8 months in, tell me exactly how it's gonna go.
But we get stuff done.